Today we're going to focus on the silver mining stocks. There's some really interesting developments happening in the silver miners, especially compared to silver, that not many people are paying attention to. However, in my opinion, this does not mean that we're going to get a green light right away to buy the mining stocks. But if you want to get in on a swing trade, I'm going to give you one silver mining stock that does look really interesting right now. Let's get into it. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks, and month. Hi, my name is Daniel Wilhelmi. Welcome to the show. We're going to jump right into it. This is the SIL. This is the silver miner ETF for the big silver stocks. And before we get to it, let's start with silver real quick. So, what we see with silver right now is clearly a downtrend. We see that silver right now is fighting with the uptrend that has been in place since the tariff chaos days of April 2025. That's the green line you see right here. And then you see the short-term downtrend, the red line that we're fighting with. As long as we are below both of these, the probabilities of going lower are much, much higher than that this is the bottom. Now, a bottom has to start somehow, but this is not the type of structure that I like on the daily. As you can see, we have a waterfall sell-off that came into silver after we broke the 200. That dragged us down almost 20% in about a week. And then we get these two little candles as a rebound out of it. That is not strong enough for me to say, okay, this is it. We need to jump right in right now. Also, we see we made lower lows intraday and on the close. And we see we made a lower low in the RSI as well. And this is where things get interesting. Now we're going to get to this SIL, the Silver Miners ETF. And look what we have here. Silver made a new low, but the silver miners actually didn't. They even made a smaller, higher high. The RSI, silver made a new low on the RSI, but the silver miners did not. They actually made a higher high. So that is really unique. And what conclusions do we draw out of this? I have seen conclusions that say, well, that means that we're near the end of the sell-off, or that this is the low point, because the silver miners are the most speculative part of the whole silver universe, silver investment universe. So if they turn first, then that shows us that the worst is behind us, because usually the most speculative part is the part that turns last, which is also one of the reasons why I'm not convinced this is the sign for us to jump in on the mining stocks right away. Now, if we get a rally up in the silver miners and we go gap fill, let's say up here to 82, which is about 5%, and then go lower, and we make another higher low in the SIL and in the RSI, then you have my attention. But right now, what I believe is really happening is capital in the stock market is scrambling right now to find safe places to invest in, as a lot of the tech sectors are getting hit hard. Hardware stocks down hard. Mag 7, brutal. SpaceX hanging on for dear life. If you're long in SpaceX, I suggest you really have your stops in the market somewhere below 150. If 150 falls, things are going to get really ugly. So the market is looking for places to hide. And it's hiding, for example, in two sectors that, shocker, shocker, I've recommended on this channel for a while: healthcare and biotech. If you missed those shows, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos to be ahead of the market. And a portion of that money, and again, we know the mining sector, gold or silver, but especially silver, is tiny compared to the Mag 7s or the semiconductor sector or the healthcare sector. So we don't need that much money to flow in there to move the needle after a big time sell-off. I think that's what happened. If we look at the silver price year to date, we see very clearly, good enough, we're up around 60% year to date. So obviously, some investors are saying, well, silver price is up 60% year to date. The silver producers will make good returns, which, yeah, that's what we have been talking about here on this channel forever, right? That the mining stocks within the gold and silver bull markets will be one of the great growth stories going forward that nobody's talking about right now. So some money flew in to the sector to basically protect itself, to find places alternative to the tech sector. So that doesn't really have anything to do with, and let me switch back to the mining stocks, with the silver miners itself. But it is something that we need to pay attention to. However, because of this special factor of the high market uncertainty right now, I don't see this signal as the dominant signal that we have reached the absolute low in silver. This could be it, but I don't think this is it. I believe we have one more leg lower to go to really wash out the weekends, to get the panic selling that I have been talking about. So, you know how when you go into a sushi place and you walk in and you take it in, you say, yeah, that smells like sushi. And then you go into some places and you walk in and you're like, that smells like fried, and the fish is kind of, I don't know, the fishy smell doesn't really, is that appealing? And the next morning you wake up with food poisoning. I think this could be one of the food poisoning traps that we're seeing right now. But it is a signal that we need to pay attention to. However, again, I'm not overvaluing it. I look at the longer time frames, and obviously on the longer time frames, yes, we have the higher low intra-weekly, because we're in the weekly here, but we still have not filled this gap. Let me show this to you in the daily. Here it is. This big gap did not get filled either time. Surprising, right? And then we have this gap right here, which coincides, you can barely see it, right here, the purple line, with the top end of this big support zone, which that is what I thought where we would run into with the silver miners, with silver again selling off. Now, again, we look at the weekly and we say, is this a weekly candle that we like to see as a bottom? Now, on the weekly, we did not make a higher low in the RSI. We actually made a lower low in the RSI, which, yeah, we got to start somewhere. But still, yes, we got these two long tails. I do like that quite a bit. But if we look at the body of last week and we look at the close, we see this is the lowest close since December. So we made a new 6-month low on the close. That is not bullish. If we look at the monthly, we see, okay, that is not great, right? Made a big time monthly close. And again, I'm using the monthly now because it's June 29th. We don't have that many trading days left. We'll take a look at the monthlies for sure once July starts. But as you can see, we can clearly go back to December, depending how this week goes, maybe even November. This looks more like this, right? Big sell-off, then we're going to bounce around sideways a little bit and then get the flush sale. And that is why I'm not FOMOing out above this interesting development on the daily. I am holding out. I'm controlling my greed. And, maybe I get the flamethrower to the face. We will see. But the overall sentiment is not panicky enough for me, right? It's negative, very negative, and that explains why we get the rebounds and everything in the silver stocks and in the silver price. But we don't have the panic. We don't have the full capitulation yet. And silver itself still trending down. And how long, and this will be the deciding factor, will the money be buying the silver miners if silver goes down and the overall market goes down? I believe not very long. They're going to be on the sell side pretty quickly. So I'm holding out, but this signal is important. We need to acknowledge it. If you think it holds, fair enough. And I'll gladly give you a silver miner that I do like right now, and that is First Majestic, one of the blue chips, so that would be one of the first ones to go. And as you can see, we have the similar setup of the higher RSI, the higher price, and I do like that we are doinking off this support zone, which, as you can see, goes all the way back to 2020, has been the top for this bottoming formation, so this is significant. And we are trying to regain the green uptrend. Now, is the upside gigantic? You judge yourself. We got the downtrend coming in here. We got the 200 here. Yeah, we got a gap fill here. That's like $1. So 7%, 8% might be enough for some traders. Fair enough. For me, that's not so interesting, but I'm more long-term and I'm looking for much bigger gains. But if you look for a mining stock for a trade, this is a really nice setup. Again, I'm not your financial advisor. I don't know what you're going to do, but this is one of the better looking setups right now, even though we're below the 200, which I usually do not like if we want to get in on the long side. That is it for today. This will be a big week for silver and the silver miners. We want to keep our eyes very closely tied now. Follow the silver, the developments in silver and in gold and in the mining stocks very closely here on this channel before I jump on a plane on Friday to Miami to the Rick Rule Symposium. Do we make another higher low in the silver miners? Even if the silver price is not moving, then I need to come back here and say, hey, we have something here. If we make a higher high in the RSI, if we make a higher high or don't make a lower low in the mining stocks, especially if silver is weak. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's what I'm going to watch for. And obviously we have to watch for silver itself. Will it turn back down? I'm going to pull up the silver chart for you. Will it reject the downtrend, which would be very bearish, and the uptrend, therefore confirming the breakdown? And all this, the last days were just a retest of the breakdown, and then we would have the one leg lower. You know my position. I want let's get it over with. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. Let's get the panic sell. That's what I want. But again, these are the markets. They don't give us what we want. We have to trade what the markets give us, not what we want the markets to do. So therefore, we'll be tightly watching this. You'll be well informed and you'll be ahead of the market. Again, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Have a great start to the new week. Bye-bye.